I am rethinking at least some of the things that I said yesterday in the video, and I also want to elaborate a little bit. What I said yesterday about it being, or that sort of innocent fool kind of archetype not existing in science fiction, but existing in fantasy or fairy tales, um, I would say is not actually true. I mean, indeed, you do see the idea of the concept of the robot having those sort of foolish characteristics as well in literature. But I think, however, I still stand by what I said, maybe 95 or 85%. I would say that I think that the majority of AI robots in literature are the reason why I think that they are depicted as psychopathic is because there is actually a fundamental difference, I would say, in the way that non-biological matter gains a mind of its own in science fiction versus in other genres. And that's another distinction I think that I failed to make yesterday. And a lot of it boils down to at least this misconception that once that data and information that is added into something, that when the inventor adds data and information to his creation, that it's a given that that's actually a springboard for a life, for an entire, what is basically the equivalent of a human existence. And that, I think, is often what creates that sort of psychopathic identity in a lot of these stories, because the psychopath essentially only lives in the context of this sort of amoral, amoral reality, right? It's only about either following orders or doing what is logical, doing what is rational. But so I think in a metaphorical sense it makes sense, but if you think about it actually scientifically, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because as you know, when a baby is born, information, even the chromosomes, even everything, even that does not obviously predetermine everything about a person's identity, right? A lot of it has to do with something that can't really be explained, right? And I do think, however, that the psychopath robot is a good metaphor for something. And I think that is what really, the hallmark thing, is really what distinguishes it from the way that the way that concept is depicted in other genres. Like the Pinocchio example was not really necessarily the strongest comparison, because I think in that case you're talking about something that is way more mysterious. You're not talking about information and data being assigned to something to fulfill a particular purpose. You're talking about nature, essentially, in magic, having its way with something, and exists in a way that, in a weird way, it actually seems even more plausible than what science fiction depicts.